Hi guys, in this video, will Maya and I be moving to the USA after our wedding? Stick around. Alright guys, so it's been a long time. I've been here 7 years in December. Maya and I are finally getting married within just a few weeks. We'll show you guys that video as soon as it happens. We've already got a plan. We already got the reception hall rented and all of that. We'll get married at the mayor's office, and then 2 days later we'll do a big reception, or not a big reception, about 50 people or so. And of course we're going to show you guys that video. Now, a topic that has come up with us now, even before we really had sat down and started hammering out all the details about the wedding, we had discussed about our future together in different paths that we might take. Now, one path, of course, would be to stay here, buy some land, build a house, and maybe open a business together. There's no guarantee that whatever business we decided to start, probably we both kind of have a passion for, like a coffee shop is really what we have, but there's no guarantee that that coffee shop would be a thriving success. And so, you know, there's no guarantee in any of that. YouTube is just a bit of income. It's not a main source of income, but you have no idea when that could dry up as well. So we have tossed around the idea of going back to the US for a short period of time, and a few reasons for that. One, maybe I'll work a few more years, maybe another 5 years. I feel like I've contributed enough to Social Security that you get the paper every year, and it kind of tells you if you retire at this age, you'll get this much. And I feel with my investments in my Social Security that I would have enough to live comfortably here. But if I were to go back to the US, then it would make sense to maybe work a few more years, another 5 years, 6 years, who knows, depends on what kind of a job I end up getting and whether I like it or not. And would I even buy a house or just rent at that point? I don't know. But another reason is that Maya would not get my Social Security if I were to pass away. She has to become a US citizen. So even if we decided, okay, we're gonna go live in the US, we're probably talking 2 years filing the paperwork for the marriage visa. She gets the green card and everything. That's one advantage of doing that versus the fiancé visa, coming over there for the 90 days, getting married. That's a whole other process. But if we get the marriage visa, she has the ability to work right away if she would want to. We haven't totally discussed that yet. But another benefit is she could work. Her daughter, Nora, would have much better benefits as far as the ability to able to go to the US and work at some point. Better opportunities there. Schooling, I would say, forget about it. The student loans and the schooling in the US, I would rather see her go here and go to school, to be honest, where you could just pay as you go or just pay it off and not have any student loans. From my understanding, I just had a couple of good friends that were married. They lived in the US, and they did it also for the same reasons, so that she could get Social Security benefits when he does pass away. And she also has more opportunities. When he passes away, she has the ability to go live in the US or whatever. And basically, my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm basing this off of what they told me, their experience just recently, is she has to live in the US for 5 years to get the Social Security benefits and become a citizen. And the way it worked is the first 2 years, she had to be there 100% of the time. She could not leave the US. And then the following years, she had to be there at least 51% or so, at least 6.5 months out of the year. She had to be in the US. And so what they were doing is, first 2 years, they stayed in the US. After that, they would spend about 5.5 months here, go back to the US for another 6.5, and they did that for a few years. They have finally fulfilled that. She got her citizenship, and they are now living here full time. And this just happened within this year. So I think their information is probably pretty accurate and up to date. And again, they have an age gap like many of us foreigners and their Filipinos do. And so if something happens to him, at least she has the ability to go back to the US if she wants, work, and then maybe come back here and retire. She would get his Social Security death benefits, I believe. Again, I haven't really studied too much into that. I don't know everything that is incorporated into that. You guys can make comments down below if you know, but again, I'm basing a lot of this off of what their path was. So this is one reason we are thinking about it. Now, if we do make that decision, again, once we decide, it's probably going to take a couple of years to get the visa and everything approved. And at that point, I'm thinking, honestly, if I'm being honest with myself, you're probably going to take, I'm estimating 15 to 20,000 US dollars to reestablish yourself back in the US. In other words, we would have to sell everything here, our motorbikes, our furniture, our possessions, and go back to the US. You would need to find a rental property. You would need to have deposits in the first couple of months' rent. You would also have to get a vehicle. It is not like the Philippines or other countries in Southeast Asia where you can survive without having a vehicle. It's impossible. You have to have a car. So either you're buying one outright, maybe getting into a lease, which is probably something that I would consider since I wouldn't be living in the US permanently. So maybe a leased vehicle is the way I would go. Also, that's an option, so you got to come up with money for that. You'd have to buy furniture again, because most places in the US, when you get a rental, it's not like here or in Southeast Asia where they come fully furnished. Dishes and furniture, that doesn't really happen. As far as I know, maybe there are a few places, but not likely. Most places you have to provide your own stuff. So all of that takes a good chunk of money. And of course, the living costs are going to be higher. And I would probably be moving to a colder weather region. So that is something to consider, which is why I always tell people, before you move to the Philippines, don't just sell your house, don't just sell your car, don't sell all your possessions. Give it a good long trial run before you commit. Because once you've sold everything and you decide, oh, Philippines is not for me, and you want to move back, and your house is gone, and your possessions are gone, and your car is gone, it takes a good chunk of money to get reestablished. It takes a lot of work. And so that is our thinking. So we're kind of weighing out pros and cons. Pros here are cost of living is much cheaper. Pros are we could purchase a house for much cheaper. The income we could make from like a coffee shop is probably much lower than anything we could do like working at a full-time job back in the US, of course. The pace of life is slower and more relaxed here, less stress. But some of the negatives are, just way things are run inefficiently here. Maya, and her daughter, if something happens to me, they don't really have a great security net other than maybe if I buy them a house or we have a business, then, that would go to her. Any money I can have saved up in a joint account for us, or any possessions that we have, all of that would go to her, and maybe get a life insurance plan. Other than that That's some of the pros there. But in the U.S., then she's going to get Social Security when I pass away. She would be a resident of the U.S. where she would have the ability to go to work. Her daughter would be a resident where she could, if she wanted to, have much more opportunities. We can say whatever we want about the U.S. with all its faults currently, but as far as work and employment, there are still far more opportunities there. So we are weighing these things out. This is not something that's going to happen immediately. If we do decide to go back to the U.S., I know everybody would be shocked. Maybe we would still do YouTube. Maybe she would, and maybe I would just put out a video every few weeks or so. I probably would be far too busy. So we have to see what happens, but this is not something, again, if we make the decision that we are going to go back to, or I'll go back to the U.S. with them, I would wait till they got their visas approved and everything. Then we're talking a couple years from now. We're not talking, next week or even next year. It's going to take some time. And we have to carefully think things through. And we want to be financially prepared. We don't want to get there and be like in a panic if I haven't found the right job within a few months or so. So lots of preparation, and we have to decide, should we just buy land here and maybe try our go at a local business and how much that would cost. So anyway, questions, comments, your thoughts and opinions on it, I'd love to hear down below. Guys, make sure you check out my website. It's kind of a one-stop shop. If you need ideas and links of things that I highly recommend that you should have when moving or traveling out here, check out my Geo Travel Essentials on my Geo in the Philippines webpage. If you guys are traveling out here for the first time or moving out here and you have a lot of questions or need some help, you can book a consultation directly through my website. And as always, guys, I really appreciate all the support and all the wonderful well wishes for our upcoming wedding. We really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. See everybody next time.